أهلا وسهلا فيكم مرة ثانية. حنتكلم الآن عن كيف لبرامج الإقامة والتكاليف الفنية أن تكون عاملاً في تعزيز الإنتاج الثقافي. معانا الأستاذة سارة أبو عبد الله. سارة فنانة تشكيلية حاصلة على درجة الماجستير في الفنون الرقمية والإعلام من كلية رود آيلاند وبكالوريوس الفنون من جامعة الشارقة. تعمل بالفيلم والتركيب والأفلام والصور، وعرضت سارة أعمالها في فن جميل في دبي وفي الشارقة وغيرها، وشاركت أيضا في إقامات فنية مع AIT في طوكيو. أهلا وسهلا فيك يا سارة.
مرحبا. أهلا. My name is Sarah Abu Abdullah. I'm going to speak in English. I'm a Saudi visual artist. I'm joined here today with Estelle Guilié, the artistic director of Montreso Art Foundation in Morocco, and with Eckhard Thiemann, who's the artistic director of Shubbakt Art Festival in London, and Ralf Schmitt, the CEO and co-director of Berlin Art Institute. Hello, everyone. I'd start with 2 days ago, I saw a story on the news actually of an amateur painter whose friend invited him to his studio to give him the opportunity to create art and produce his first art exhibition in a later age. And I think for me that translates beautifully what a residency is as an act of generosity and collaboration. From my own experience doing artist residencies in Tokyo, London, Sharjah, Portland, Delphi in Greece, they all varied in what they offered and what they were and themes and everything, but they were all wonderful opportunities to connect with fellow artists, musicians, dancers, writers, curators, and we started also supporting each other through doing our own informal residencies where we invite each other to our own studios and offer a couch, for example. But when I speak of residencies, I mean, the most common form of residency, artist residency, is usually 3 months residency because of tourist visa restrictions and limitations. It usually has a stipend, a production budget, and travel tickets. It's usually paid, but the focus, sometimes there is a production at the end, sometimes it's not. An art residency can be a day, it can be 2 years academic program, it can be a trip, it can be I don't know, just anything, anywhere that an artist reside. And I wanted to ask each of you, I'll start with Ralf, if you can tell us a little bit more of what a residency is for you with the Berlin Art Institute and your experience working with artists in residence, and what are other ways you're rethinking artists in residence. If you can tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Sarah, many thanks for this invitation, for having me. Just brief information, like you said, I'm co-running with Stefanie Jünemann this institute since 5 years. Before I was also co-running a project space, what we call here in Berlin, it's called an artist-run space or independent space. And I also was co-running an art fair focusing on emerging galleries and those project spaces also for 10 years. My background is an artist. I'm also a visual art. So coming back to this question, you already said that it's very diverse. Residency can be in very different modes, very different definitions. It's not so easy to define it, but it's also a good sign that you cannot really define it because it's every time, everywhere. Even in Berlin, it's different. Yeah, you have 10 programs and all have a different history and a different focus and different audiences, even sometimes also, of course, also bridging. So coming back to what we do at the Institute, we are a kind of hybrid. Yeah, we mix together elements of an independent art school in that tradition of artist-run education, which is also a big topic in the last 10 years. Then we take elements of an artist residency, you already mentioned, and we also took in elements of an arts incubator. So we are on the one side a production site for artistic practice, we are a site for training, we are a site for a discourse, and we are also a site for research. So we offer different programs. Like you already said, the duration is flexible. Our program runs the whole year. There is no beginning, no ending. It starts end of January and then it stops until December, and then in January it starts again. And the people who want to attend, because it's modular, they can decide by themselves. I start with, a block is always 4 calendar weeks with block 3, and I do 3 blocks. You mentioned, for example, out of visa reasons, but you can also attend 2 years. You can also re-enter. We had participants who entered 5 times, for example, the program. So it's a modular program running the complete year. The duration is flexible. We offer discourses, lectures, seminars, workshops, visits, coachings, individual and group meetings. We always put the artists and offer the artists professional studios in a shared setting. So it's about 3 to 5 people are working in a studio where they have access 24 hours, 7 days, which is very important. Besides the program that you have access, you can do what you want. Of course, you're not forced to work in the studio. If you're making research in the city, if you go to some libraries or if you do some other things, you can also work outside, urban art and so on. So it's very much about exchange in discourse-based. It's also about getting personal feedbacks in discussions and crits. It's about networking with the participants in between, of course, also with the guest lecturers and the local players. It's always international. Of course, during COVID now, it's quite Europe-centered because a lot of people don't have access to fly in. It's interdisciplinary. So far, I think we had participants from over 60 nations, and it's open for all ages and levels. So we host beginners, students, we have professionals, postgraduates, and professionals, which is also very special in our case. And we have a quite big team of visiting experts, more than 50 are part of our lecturer team. And we try also to be very transparent, just to add this as a last point, in documenting what we do by visualizing this and always publish this in our online journal, because people, if they want to make a residency, we found out it's very important that you get really an idea what is happening. So perhaps this is very short now mentioned, it's hybrid form we offer.
And I wanted to ask you about who decides the themes of the residencies.
The themes are, this is an interesting question because always people ask us about the theme. The theme comes in by the participants. Because from the second day on, we will invite the participants to make their own presentations. It's called discourse. It starts really with the second day. And this is the topic. Of course, the lecturers also bring in topics. The lecturer normally bring in topics like their own work, and then they open it for discussions. And then this is a very important part of it, same with the seminars, they come to your workplace to make crits. So again, involving into your own work. So we center a lot first on the practice and the background, the socialization, the dreams, the disappointments, the questions, what the participants bring in. This is the first step we found out. We always start with them.
I wanted to bring the conversation now to Eckhard Thiemann, especially that unlike the Berlin Art Institute, we have a festival, Shabak Art Festival in London, and I know that you focus on performative art as an approach. So I wanted to ask you to tell us more about the festival and residencies and artists in residence in the festival.
Yes, thank you very much for asking. Yes, Shabak, we are London's largest festival of contemporary Arab culture. We happen every 2 years, and the next one is in June, July 21. And we do indeed program music, theatre, dance, literature, visual arts, And I've forgotten one. I can't remember which one it is. So we work across the art forms, which also means we don't have resources. So we don't have studios and bedrooms and accommodation and galleries. So our residencies look quite different, I think. But we are a festival. We exist in a concentrated time, and we are a festival of contemporary Arab culture in London, not in the Arab region itself, but with a very rich, textured history of Arab presence in the city. And what we really use our residencies for is for artists to come and explore the city and our communities, our contexts, our histories, and shine new light on the city and how we live. And we want them to be as inventive and as critical and as provocative as possible in making us see London afresh through the lens of Arab artists. So how we do this, our residencies tend to be in 3 phases. The first one is a complete open invitation. Come to London. We tend to invite people who don't know the city very well and our communities very well. Come to London, we introduce you, have a look, understand how we work, understand how the festival works, understand our communities, to start to potentially have some ideas. Then come, and they can be quite short, a week, couple of weeks. Then we bring them back 4 or 5 months later. And in the meantime, we've had conversations with community groups, with locations, with potential partners, which could be a theatre, which could be a museum, which could be a gallery, to crystallize some ideas for a project. So the artist then comes back, and that's where we will see a series of workshops or of experimental phases and further research. And then the artist comes back again for the 3rd time, just prior to the festival and then for the festival itself to present the work. So our residencies tend to be tied in with commissions, but they are spread out into these phases because we want to give the artist the biggest agencies, and some of them do not go forward. Some of them remain in that first visit, and we feel we haven't quite found an idea that we all feel really excited about to take forward. Some of them are taken forward to full commissions. And they have led to site-specific interventions in the visual arts. One, for instance, a huge mural 20 meter by 8 meter high by the Moroccan artist Mehdi Anasi, which is now a permanent public art feature in London. Some of them, as you say, were performative. The Palestinian actor Amr Halahel working on a new theatre production with 2 London-based musicians and a new partnership with the Gate Theatre. So each residency is quite different, it's quite bespoke and spread over a period of time.
I wanted to ask you, since you said that there is a phase 1 and then sometimes nothing happens, at what stage do you know that there is nothing is going to come out of this visit? And as an institution, I mean, this is a risk that you're taking, but I like that this flexibility is embedded from your approach, that sometimes you're not very focused on results, which I find very surprising as an institution.
Yes, well, if I say nothing comes out of it, of course it does. No residency is wasted. That's my point. You know, it's just that will it lead to a work that can be presented in the next festival? This is sometimes where we, or in conversation with the artist and the community groups we work with, have to come to an understanding. And sometimes the artist creates something else that takes longer or takes them into a different direction, and we respect that. So that's then where the residency model kind of slightly has to be aligned. Each residency is different, but usually the first one is about a year ahead of the festival. So a decision really about going forward or not forward into a commission then tends to be about 3-4 months into that year. Of course, we also have to fundraise for if it leads to a commission. So this can be another kind of barrier or complication to go through, because with every great idea that an artist might develop with us, we then also have the process to find the right partnerships and the right funder for it. And some of it will just take longer than the year allocated for it.
That sounds amazing. Now I want to ask about the Montreso Art Foundation, which I understand is also a different model of artist studios, a cluster of artist studio. Estelle, if you can tell us a little bit about the Montreso and the Jardin Rouge art residency. It's still here. I believe we lost her, did we? Yeah. Yes, we have lost her. Okay, amazing. Then let's continue the conversation. So what we have here is like a festival and an art institute. And I think there is flexibility in both models, which is not the classical way of doing artist residencies. And there's how I think what I find what my question will be at the moment is accessibility. How do you select artists? How this is one thing. Also, in the festival, you mentioned workshops. I was wondering in the Art Institute if that. I'm comparing and contrasting here. What is the engagement with the local community in the institute? Maybe we can start with that.
Yeah. So also in the program there are workshops always embedded. Every block there is a practical workshop done by different also lecturers coming to the institute. And we are also part of a festival actually. There is one festival. We were also in initial partners when it started. It's called Art Spring. And this is a quite big festival in the whole district where the institute is. The institute, the Berlin Art Institute, is in the district of Pankow, which is from the population, the biggest district in Berlin. Prenzlauer Berg belongs to it, Weißensee and some other parts, boroughs of it. And there was this idea some years ago to make the whole district a gallery, because traditionally, which is quite interesting, also before the wall came down, in this district, there are still a lot of studios. There are hundreds of studios in this district. And once a year, it's a 1 month festival. We are part of that. And there is not only the institute visible for outside, working with the communities from outside, it's a film program. Yeah, there's a literature program. All the studios open, not only our studios open then to the public, but all the other studios also. And there are also commissioned works done. So there are plenty of these encounters, how these communities work together and how they are also visible in the institute in both ways. Like what Eckhard said, not only in one direction. There's one group is only going in this community, but also the community different communities comes to us. So perhaps, of course, there would be a lot to say. We have an exhibition space too. Also in that case, it's for some long-term residents, when also shorter terms, when there is a mature work, then we make the exhibition making part of the educational program even. So that means not only that somebody has the chance to do an exhibition, but also to run through all the steps which are needed to make the exhibition. And the visits we do are always visits to, let's say, galleries, project space makers, collectors, critics, curators in town, where also this encounter can take place. So just a few examples where this connection can be made.
Amazing. Estelle is back with us.
Welcome back. A bad connection today in Morocco.
Yeah, it always happens when you have a talk. everything disconnects. I was asking you, but you missed it, to tell us a little bit about the Montreso Art Foundation and Jardin Rouge, the residency. I understand that you have a cluster of studios. And it's dedicated to artists from inside and outside of Morocco. So if you can tell us a little bit about the artist residencies, the foundation, and if you go on.
Yeah. Jardin Rouge is an artist residency. We have 8 studios and we receive artists who apply with a project. They come in Morocco not only one time. I mean, it's a support. We support artists on a long period because, for example, when you receive artists for a project of sculpture, you need more than 3 months with all the problem you say about the visa and or the blah blah with that. So it's really a relation on a long-term period with artists. We offer the artists to stay in Morocco and help or produce the project. The things for us, it's to support young and emerging artists, but also confirmed artists. It's a global space. People live in Jardin Rouge and artists live in Jardin Rouge. So it's time for us to share also, to share experience, to share also the different vision. Means last years we received artists from Kinshasa, from Atlanta, from Cologne in the same times. So during the dinner and during this time, it's really interesting to see how to sharing their experience. And it's also for us really important to help the artists to present the work. I mean, at the end of the residency, the context is not to take the artwork and go back to the country. It's maybe to have the possibility to present your work here in Marrakesh. We have 2 spaces for that, and we invite a collector, journalist, art critic, visitor, school to present also the work of the artist. For us, Marrakesh, it's like a door between a different culture. In Africa, and also to have connection with all the continent. The things is we always talk about universality of art. We want to talk about really each country has its own particularity and each artist has its own particularity. And the very important for us is to share the experience about that. And we are really proud about one program called In Discipline. We present during the art fair 1.54 in Marrakesh, and each year we invite artists from one country. We start with Benin, second years with Ivory Coast, and last years with Republic Democratic of Congo. With this program, it's a program about sharing of residency, but also to imagine how to realize a platform here and have connection with other institutions, and maybe at the end have a presentation here in Morocco and have this possibility to connect with Europe, America, Africa, and with you, because you know, we are a young institution, and the things is maybe to think about a project, a real project, and have the opportunity to realize. I don't have the word. Realize exhibition, realize maybe sharing a platform between different residency also. It's also important to be not alone.
Yeah, other residencies in Morocco or around the world as well?
Around the world. Yeah, we have connection with residency in South Africa. We have connection with residency in Kinshasa and in Cotonou also. So we try to maybe build exchange program, and it's also really important.
I was wondering about the artist selection. So how do you select your artists? The question is to young artists in general and all these opportunities. For me as an artist, I look up open calls for residencies and I find them. How do you usually announce it? How do you select your artists? Is my question.
For me?
Yes.
We have a little committee, and you have a possibility to send a project, and the committee selects the project. The connection between all the artists, we have the pretension to imagine the connection between all the artists with the territory. Means territory, it's a world really large. I mean, you can imagine territory like a geographic territory, but also poetic territory. For us, it's really important to not receive only one kind of artist and not like minimal African, I don't know. We want really to have this possibility to share the different practice, the different vision, point of view of art. So it's, for us, the beginning is a project.
And I will ask really quickly, since we have no time, Eckhard, how curated is your selection?
Yes, so we tend not to have an open call process because most of our projects are directly located in neighborhoods or with specific communities or in very specific locations. So it's really our research of knowing the fields and the artists, trying to think through which artists might respond to and speak well to that specific context. So we work by going out and seeing a lot of work, visiting other festivals, other art weeks, other art fairs, and take in a lot of recommendations from colleagues internationally in the field. And I guess the first residency, the experimental one, is the one that then gives us the confidence, will this connection work or not? So we work with a very large number of artists, but we curate the selection directly.
Ralf, I repeat the question to you as well. I believe that you do an open call.
So in our case, there is no application deadline. Application is possible all time. There are three different ways how you can approach us. As a single applicant, you have to send some examples of your work. You have to send a kind of CV, just a short bio. And you have to send a short motivation letter, which is very important for us to get an idea what is this person looking for, and then we get also into a communication about that, just to find out, are we the right location, the right partner, which could be helpful. Then there's a second group of people who approach us. They already have a partner perhaps in the back who could fund them. Then we write an endorsement letter for their application. Of course, they also have to send us their application materials as well. And then the procedure goes like in the first case. And then the third group are partners we have, worldwide institutions who make an open call in their country with, let's say, requirements for the application. We always work these selection criteria together out with the partner. So, for example, is it for emerging, mid-career, established artists or not? Is it for curators and art writers and critics as well? We of course define a minimum age. We define an English language level. So this is something we work out together with the partners. So these 3 chapters we have, what we offer for getting access. Access is a very important thing, I think. So thanks for that question, because it plays a very big role. We try to keep it low, that nobody has the feeling, oh no, I'm not so far that I can apply in a professional way. So, but on the other hand, we also have to know and to find something out. For example, with the partners applicants, we also do Skype interviews before to get better ideas, or Zoom interviews.
So I want to, of course, we all know that this year been tough for culture institutions and the culture in general, as it's tough for everyone on every scale and every level. So I think a question is for the future. I think with because residency is not just about, it's about being present. But as we are learning, there are many ways of being present to each other. So I think what with this pandemic, this is the question everyone asked, made you rethink, Estelle?
Wow. The thing is, in March, during the pandemic, we have 4 artists here in Morocco. And we need to, the government say you must close. So we closed the foundation during 6 months. So the thing is how to thinking a virtual project and have maybe the possibility to support artists in a home country. The thing is, for us, the residency is also a meeting with a culture, and it's also really important. So I really can answer a big question. I really think that the next steps is maybe to thinking about that, but now it's, you know, we are in the context. We try to continue residency. We reopened the foundation in October. We talk with a lot of artists. They feel really alone during this period, and I don't know you, but it's also so strange to thinking about how create during this this period, and how you can project, because all the things are cancelled, postponed, and you know, it's not easy, and I don't have an answer for your question.
But I think what I'm learning through this conversation, especially with the different approaches, that it's not always about the production. I think it's about making the space and the time for each other. And I think that's something that there are 2 things that I want through this to be highlighted. One is that there are opportunities, and people can use this time and space and funds, and they can find these opportunities and reach out and know they exist. And the other one is that the role of the institution is to what is the right word, to help at the end of the day, to just be there for, like, to create to provide an opportunity for a conversation to happen, to bring people together, and I think that's as from my experience, and that the residency that I enjoyed the most and that I learned most from were the ones that are more focused on people together and connecting us together for life. And these artists that I met in these residencies are the friends that I call to consult, and also the mentors in the residencies are the ones, when I have a project, I call them and I ask them, what should I do? And I think that's vital, and that's how we create an ecosystem in the long run. You mentioned that you've been working with artists for 5 years or more, and you have like long conversation that doesn't have to result in anything, and that's amazing. In conclusion, thank you all for this. It's short and sweet, and I hope you're having like this is the like I'm trying to conclude in a good wish, but I think the pandemic is a good opportunity. It's not as much as the negativities of it. Okay, thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Very much enjoyed it.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.